everyone, my name is Michelle and I want to do a December TBR essentially, and this month is also the first month that I am participating in a readathon, which is really unusual for me personally because I am more like a person that I like to read books at my own pace. Yeah, anyways, the readathon that I'm going to join this month is called the Reindeer Readathon, and I will be giving you all the information down below or the links to the host of the readathon down in the description box. But let's just start with the TBR. The first prompt is called Dasher, and it is a short story or collection or novella. And for this prompt, I choose Stefan Zweig Novellen. So yeah, I got this in the German version, and Stefan Zweig is one of my favorite German writing authors, so that's why I have wanted to get into his novellas, and now it's like finally the time for it. The next prompt would be Dancer, and you'll get 15 points for this prompt. This should be a book by one of your favorite authors. Rereads counts too, and for that I choose this book by Miss Reed, and it is called Affairs at Thresh, and Miss Reed is like one of the very quintessential British cozy writers, if that makes any sense. So basically her books are usually set in English countrysides. So I'll read you the back of this book. So it says, Charles Henstock, rector of Thresh Green, has difficulty living up to his glamorous predecessor when he moved to the parish of Lalling. His wife and friends remain loyal, but there is opposition from the fearsome Mrs. Thurgood and her arty daughter Janet. Everyone in the district seems to be having their share of problems, not least stubborn Albert Pigger, who dreads the return of Nellie, his wife. Meanwhile, more than one heart is stirred by the reappearance of the illegible Kit Armitage, who, it is rumored, may not only be looking for a house. Could it be wedding bells for Miss Violet after all these years? All the well-loved figures of Thresh Green are to be found once again in their familiar rural setting. And the next prompt is called Prancer, and you got 20 points for this prompt. It is said a book with a travel element in it. And for this one, I chose the last Elena Ferrante book, and I got this one in German as well. It is called Die Geschichte des verlorenen Kindes, and I think the English translation would be The Story of the Lost Children. If it's not, I'm going to put the title above here. But essentially, this is like the fourth and final book in the Neapolitan quartet, and we follow these two girls, Elena and Lila, from their childhood to teenage years to adulthood, and I don't want to spoil it a lot. But essentially these two girls grew up in a pretty poor and violent area of Italy in the 1940s, 1950s, and like they are both actually very smart young women, but life has really different plans for them, and these books are in a lot of ways really relatable, and for me, because like the relationship, especially when in the first two books, really reminded me of my relationship with my childhood best friend in China. That's a whole another story. But essentially, she is also a very headstrong person, and reading these books just make me feel all kind of emotions. So I am very happy to be fitting this book in this readathon, and it always contains travel elements because our main characters travel essentially, at least from what I've read in the last three books. So I think this counts. And the next prompt is called Vixen, and you got 20 points for this one. It is a book that has recently caught your eye. And for this one, I picked up Karen Slaughter's The Good Daughter. Like, Karen Slaughter is obviously a very, very famous author for detective novels, but I have never read her before, and I have started today, so today is the 1st of December. I've read the first 60 pages in this book, and it is so good already, so I'm so excited. I'm going to read you the back. So it said, the girls are forced into the woods at gunpoint. One runs for her life, one is left behind. 28 years ago, Charlotte and Samantha Quinn's happy small-town family life was destroyed by a terrifying attack on their home. It left their mother dead. It left their father, a notorious defense attorney, devastated. And it left the family fractured beyond repair, consumed by secrets from that shocking night. 28 years later, Charlie has followed in her father's footsteps to become a lawyer, but when violence comes to their hometown again, she is plunged into a nightmare because the case triggers memories she's tried so hard to suppress, and the shocking truth about the crime which destroyed her family won't stay buried forever. So, from what I've read, I think the author's writing is really, really good, because I think especially recently I've been reading some really hyped detective novels where I find the characters and their actions being so unbelievable, and I couldn't understand where the hype came from those books. I may or may not be talking about the Dublin Murder Squad series. Yeah, but then again, I think a lot of people said with that book series, it's like love or hate type of relationship. You either love it a lot, or like me, I just regretted even buying the second book. But this book, I think the writing is pretty solid, and maybe I'll just read you a little bit from it. So yeah, it's very beginning, so I don't think I'm spoiling you anything. So basically, it is when the girls, Charlie and Samantha, were still young, and their mom asked, "Don't you have homework? Chemistry." Charlotte looked up. "Can you help me? It's not rocket science." Gemma dumped the spaghetti noodles into the pot of cold water on the stove. She twisted the knob to turn on the gas. Charlotte crossed her arms low on her waist. "Do you mean it's not rocket science, so I should be able to figure it out on my own? Or do you mean it's not rocket science, and that is the only science that you know how to perform, and therefore you cannot help me?" Yeah, so it's really lovely, and I'm excited to see how this mystery progress. The next book is called Comet, and you get 15 points for this prompt. It says should be a 5-star prediction, and for this I choose an audiobook, and it is The Unwomanly Face of War by Svetlana Alexievich. So basically, Svetlana Alexievich is a Belarusian author who has won the Nobel Prize, and her specialty is do like interviews with people, and she took her questions out and she just left the answers of the interviews and construct them into very powerful oral history. And in this case, she interviewed a lot of women that were on the front in the Second World War. A lot of women at their times that lived in the Soviet Union, and the audiobook is really good. I listened to the audiobook on Audible, and I don't know, I think it's so smart because they actually find, I think people, I don't want to say anything wrong, but I think they choose Russian people to read the stories, Russian women, so that they have this kind of accent when they speak English, and it's just really authentic, and their emotions are really, really raw. So this is definitely a 5-star prediction for me. The next book is called Cubit, and you get 25 points. And I said to take a shot at reading a new author, and for this one I chose this little book called Stet, and it is by the author Diana Athiel, and she is, I think, a really famous editor, and it is said for nearly 5 decades Diana Athiel helped shape some of the finest books in modern literature. She edited and nursed and coaxed some of the most celebrated writers in the English language, including V.S. Naipaul, John Rice, and Brian Moore. The word "stet" is an instruction on corrected proofs sent to a printer, meaning let the original stand. This candid memoir writes stet against the pleasures, intrigues, and complexities of her life spent among authors and manuscripts. This was how things stood. So I'm very intrigued because I think working in the publishing industry is something that I can totally imagine myself doing in an alternative universe. And since I cannot do this in this life anymore, probably, so I'm so interested in hearing, people's life as an editor or worked in this industry. And from what I gathered, Diana was a very, very wise woman, and I also got another book by her that's not on my shelf, and it is like her life lessons as an elderly woman. And I don't know, maybe it is weird that I am starting to read life lessons from an elderly woman when I'm in my mid-20s, but somehow this wisdom intrigues me. I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah. So this book is only 250 pages, so it should be a quick read, hopefully. And my semester break to start from the 22nd of December, so I should have a bit more time to read than usual. Finger crossed. The next book is called Donor, and you get 20 points for a book with green or red as the primary color on the cover, and I chose a very Christmassy book, and it's Miss Reed, Das Weihnachtskind, so the Christmas child, I presume in English. And yeah, it's just a sweet little book. It's only about, I think, 88 pages, and that should be able to be read on one day, like in one sitting. And obviously it's just a Christmas story that is set in English village, and I'm so excited to read that. Maybe on the 24th or 25th, I don't know. We will see how the reading this month goes. Next one is a Blitzen. So you get 30 points for this prompt, and it is choose at least 3 books and have one chosen randomly to read. And for this, I chose an ebook that I just randomly, swiped on my phone, and like I chose just one book that's showed up, and I choose Still Life by Louise Penny, and this is the first book in the very famous detective or Inspector Gamache series, and it is set in Three Pines in Canada, in French-speaking Canada, and a lot of people said it's really cozy, so I really want to get into the series as well. And the last prompt is Rudolph, and you get 15 points for it, and it should just be a standalone book. So I got this one, Ein Hund unter dem Weihnachtsbaum, and let me see what the English original title is. Oh, the original title is Noel. I think maybe a character or maybe the dog's name. I have no idea, but I picked up this book randomly from my local bookstore because who can resist this cover? Come on. Yeah. So yeah, that's all for my December TBR, and let's be honest, this is very ambitious and I do not know how many books I can get into, but let's hope we will have a good reading month. And thank you very much for watching, and I'm excited to do more reading videos in on this channel, like more reading vlogs and TBRs, wrap-ups. So thank you so much for watching again, and bye, see you next time.